Okay, so we're going to reflect on the small group lesson I did for fluency.
Okay, Catherine, what is your rationale for choosing the specific strategies for teaching fluency?
So since these are struggling readers, the segmenting and blending routines are important for them so that they can make connections with their sounds and seeing the letters. And the routines that we did with the segmenting and blending on our fingers is something that they're familiar with because they did it in kindergarten, they do it in first grade. So it's something that won't be too difficult for them. And the specific strategies were effective with these kids because you're teaching them on many levels, like hearing, the visual of seeing the letters, and then also the tactile part of it where they're using their hands, they're touching the little tiles. So these strategies were also good, not just because some of the kids are struggling readers, but because we have kids in the group who lose focus a lot. And so when they do things with their hands, they're like forced to stay engaged. And so they're not missing the instruction that they desperately need to build their fluency.
How big is your group usually?
No more than 6.
And that is really helpful because you give a lot of one-on-one opportunities to
Right, they get more attention.
Also.
Right.
Okay, how effective do you feel your direct instruction was?
I think it was effective in that I was able to model all of the strategies. I did exactly what I expected the students to do, and it was modeled throughout the lesson, not just me modeling it one time. I was continuously doing it with them. And so I was able to also, since it was a small group, I was able to see if they understood, the sounds, and if they were making mistakes on their boards, I could quickly correct that. They were also immersed in the lesson and hearing the vocabulary that goes along with it, like the academic language. So they're getting all of that instruction all at the same time. They're applying.
And right away you could tell that students that are not understanding the concept of the lesson because it's such a small group that
Right.
You're able to help them out
and make sure that they're not continuing practice the wrong way.
Okay, good. Okay, what are your areas of strength in your teaching?
I think for this particular lesson, I used the academic language and I expected them to use it. Words like blending, segmenting, they know that. Our control vowels, is it an open syllable or closed syllable? I don't know if I use the word digraph, but H brothers, they know what that is. And I think another thing that I did well was I would make sure that they use their resources. Like I have the H brother poster over here. So just reminding them of the tools that they have and that they should use them. I think another strength was just making them feel comfortable and not being afraid to try and read a word or to blend it. Somebody in the group was reluctant to build on their board because they were not sure like how many chips to put. So I just encouraged them, don't be afraid, it's a safe,
And just using the same tools and knowing the routine is very helpful to them.
That's true,
I would think that using the same program from kindergarten up to second grade, it's very helpful to them.
Right, and this lesson, the same drills that we did for this lesson we do it every time they meet for their intervention. So.
Okay, what areas could use improvement?
I think a couple things, like the pacing. I noticed for some of the kids, they were, I kept hearing, oh, this is easy, this is really easy. So I could probably pick up the pace or use some more difficult words, longer words that maybe had more syllables. So it's a little bit more rigorous for them.
So how will you improve this specific lesson next time?
Okay, well, so like I was saying, using bigger words probably, and maybe even trying to find a way where they can interact with each other. So after my modeling, find an activity where they could kind of help each other, either produce words or play a game, I think, maybe.
Yeah, that will be a great extension.
Something.
Lesson.
I started to introduce that little game with the cards. I don't know if I showed the cards, but with the chips, how they can flip-flop the different syllables. So store or E could, if they really know what the two syllables are, we would move the E over here, and just to really reinforce the idea. So maybe play a game with something like that.
Oh, good.
Get them excited.
So, yeah, sounds like a very successful lesson.
All right, thank
Yeah,
you.
congratulations.
Thanks.